G'day, fuckhead. Yeah, it's about the show tonight. I'm heading over soon. No. It's just, I mean, we only get one go at it, so I just want it to be, you know. No, I'm finding stand-up comedy to be a bit easy at the moment, so I need a few challenges. If you can arrange that. If there's a spotlight, whoever's operating that, get them to keep it sort of halfway down my forehead for the first few minutes, so it looks like I've got a stupid haircut or something. That'd be good. And if there's a big bald guy coming in, I don't know, there's plenty of them, put him front and centre so the light's shining off his dome the entire show. That'd be quite distracting. Yeah. And maybe something else, maybe, you know, whatever, I'll leave it in your hands, but just sort of something so fucked that it's got to stop the show. Even I won't guess what it is, but do it so shit that it's going to have to stop the show. That's what I want. All right, mate. Sweet. I'll see you over there. Don't be late.
Ladies and gentlemen of Newcastle, we're headed over for the filming of Heggie's special Grot. Who's pumped up? I'm pumped up. Come on, you know what to do. We're here. It's a big night. We're massive night. Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. Welcome to the stage, the Grot himself,
All right, so I was sitting in my kitchen, right, with the lights off, just drinking beer and seething, and I thought, I've got to get out of this. I'm feeling a bit negative here, and I don't like negativity. Some of you people embrace it, not me. This is how negative some of you people are, right? I was hosting this delicious barbecue. Everyone was there. It was beautiful, and you know, there was a kid there being an innocent little bastard for probably 5+ hours, and no one remembers that. All anyone is there chooses to remember is me drinking fucking 12 beers and kicking him. So I was sitting there thinking, I've got to get out. I've got a proper grump on here. I'm as surly as a small business owner. But one of your lower margin ones there, like a bicycle shop or a news agency or something. I'll sort this out right now. There's only one thing for this. That's to get behind the wheel of my car and go for a really fast drive. So I was doing that. I was absolutely thrashing my car. I've ended up out on the highway. And I'll tell you what, you rearrange your to-do list and put keeping a clapped-out hatchback between the lines of the fast lane to the top. You're going to forget about all the little shit and just try to stay alive. But at one stage, I did have to slow down because there was this massive accident I wanted to have a squiz at. And it only just happened. It was massive. I hope someone called an ambulance. It was that big. And, you know, one of them had managed to free himself from the wreckage and crawl out, and he's trying to wave me down. And I didn't stop because I didn't really feel like it. But I also didn't want him to be offended that I didn't pull over and help out. So I pretended to be asleep. But I was just getting back up to top speed there, and I saw something that changed everything for me. I saw one of those contraptions we've built across highways to help marsupials get from one side to the other safely. All they've got to do is negotiate a really high-stakes ropes course to get the job done. I thought, that's amazing. That's a bit of cross-species benevolence. I can really get behind that. It's incredible. It's really warmed my cockles to know that the koalas I'm running over are stupid and unco. So this is what else I've been up to. I've been riding my bike a fair bit, right? Little tip from the top. You see a man riding a bicycle and he's wearing jeans, life hasn't really panned out for him. Leave me alone. I've got a few bikes. I've always liked bikes. I've got a few of them. I've got one really nice one. I thought, this bike is so nice, it's going to get stolen. No question. I mean, this country was built on theft. It was also built on mateship and larrikinism and a fair go at the Bowser, but mostly theft. And it did get pinched, right, but not before I had sneakily inserted a tracker into the frame there, so I knew where it was at all times. I had it on a map and an address of where my bike was at all times. So I popped down to the hog pen to present the police with what we in the business call a slam dunk. I walked in there, right, and on the counter there were 5 policemen standing on the front counter there. And I know women can be policemen too now, which I for one think is wonderful, but there were none on the front counter that day. They were all out the back listening to podcasts for clues. But that's where we are now, though. Ever since the police just outsourced all their work to a bunch of old men walking their dogs in the morning and various other curtain-twitching dobbers, they just stand around and wait for us to solve crimes and come in and present them with the results. But I got talking to them, right, and the one in the middle, he was a bit of a fun-sized one. He appeared to be the self-appointed spokesman for these ones. And I said, look, when you finish your roast beef there, little fella, this is where my bike is. Get on yours and go get it. And he said, no, we don't do that sort of thing anymore. That's small fry stuff. The only thing we do now is DV. I said, whoa. beg your pardon. Domestic violence, very serious issue, even though you just cheapen it with an abbreviation. I wouldn't even think to joke about it, even if I got a really good one. My stolen property issue, that pales in comparison compared to that. That is, I'm sorry for wasting your time and everything, but while I'm down here, though, I would like to report a very, very serious domestic violence incident. So now we're cooking. What's the address? I sort of just fucking gave it to you. I've been in about 15 minutes. Anyway, welcome to my show. Thanks for coming down. Pretty much just like this, but for an hour. So I found myself getting older and angrier at exactly the same rate that I'm becoming less capable of bashing the people who annoy me. If old people could bash, you'd all be dead. No question. You've got no idea how annoying you are. And I'm not going to be one of those crusty old comics who gets up on a stage and says that life was much better during a happy era for my type, when you could just finish a hard day's yakka and come home and kick the front door off its hinges, sit down at the table, put darts out on that and fashion some weapons out of simple household items and start whacking kids till dinner arrived. Obviously life was better then. I don't want to bang on about it. Well, I quite like the youth. It's good for business for me to say I like the youth. I reckon they're excellent. They're as confident as they are lazy. They're awesome. Even though their upper lips have become quite floppy, I find them very endearing. It's all what the youth love, and that is progress. I mean, not actual progress, just their own personal progress. My little bloke came home from school and said that he'd been moved into the excellent class for swimming. I thought, that's fantastic. I shook his hand, like we're both businessmen, and said, oh, congratulations, well done, I'm very proud, good job, yeah. And he said, yeah, there's only two classes, there's excellent and there's very excellent. So that's why now, if you own a small business, you don't promote a fresh graduate to CEO on their second day of work, you'd probably be on the news. And by news, I mean an opinion blog written by some half a haircut coward who's never drunk straight from a fucking hose. So, I mean, I do like them though. They're pretty good. The ones who could be bothered working, they're trying to get jobs with an unquantifiable outcome, like futurist or counsellor or some shit. And the rest of them are trying to resurrect jobs that don't exist anymore, like milkman and journalist and blacksmith. And that sort of... And their entitlement, that is quite well documented. I don't want to go, don't want to rip in there either. Everyone does that. I quite like them. It's tell you what happened to me though. I got on a bus, YUCK, and it was just me and a bunch of young people on this bus, right? And then until this 85-plus-year-old woman got on, she had a walking stick and a bag of shopping. And she looked like one of the pictures there, and she could have been pregnant too. I'm not one to judge her. I don't know, but. No one even looked up from what they were doing. She had to hold on to one of those dangly handle things the entire trip. I was so disgusted I nearly fell off my seat. So there was this young bloke who started down at my work, right? And obviously 2 hours after he began, I was down at HR with the door shut for a meeting. And they said the new kid has indicated he doesn't really like being bullied. So, well, has he? Maybe he should have thought of that before being born with a large head, small face combination. And this kid was literally half my age. I use the term literally. Not like the modern stooges to flesh out a bit of dead air. But they've got no qualms pointing out how weak they are, right? I had to teach this kid how to drive a car. He got a job that required him to drive a car, but because incompetence is beautiful now, he still got the job and didn't know how to drive a car. So I had to teach him. And I was out there, I was teaching this technical adult how to drive in an automatic for a man. And I walked out the front there, and he's sitting in the car. He said, oh, don't worry about me. I already know the basics. Look at my hands, 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So, bullshit. Get in the back seat, you chicken, and watch this. One hand at 6 o'clock, one arm not even inside the car. Roll up. So, I don't know what's happened with this light here. It is fucking hot. I mean, people are breathing too much or something. I don't know what's happening. I've never felt anything like it. It's like a sauna. So this, I was down at work one day, right, complaining quite vigorously about some Vegemite skid marks in the margarine. And this kid has walked in and said, and I quote, relax. I thought, man, worst possible word you could have chosen to say there. I'll relax when everyone has ever betrayed me is in the ground. I know a young bloke, right, and he got a flat tyre and he proceeded to call up roadside assistance to, get them to come out and put the spare on for him, practically begging his wife to run off with a mechanic. So this kid, right, he couldn't work too hard during the day because he had to save his energy for after work when he was going to the gym. And I don't know how that's happened. And I've been to a gymnasium before, right, and they are not my people. But I went down, they've got an open mind, I'm known for it. And I've gone in there, right, a word to the wise, right, if you're picking something up and while you're doing that you've got to scream, that's a two-man lift. Sorry. Did aircon just kick in or something? Is that what's happened? It feels slightly cooler now. There it is. Excellent. I should have turned that on earlier. Someone could have thought of that. Nick, can I grab a towel, please? If you're backstage, Nick, can I grab a towel, please? Mate, I've got to stop for a second. It is fucking hot here, isn't it? I feel like a tennis player should be eating a banana or something. Unbelievable. You're not back there, are you, mate? He's on his phone. There's a little towel there. Sorry, mate. Thank you. Sorry, everyone. I've just got to sort this out now. We are filming. So, here we go. Sorry, mate.
Too busy making a TikTok.
Thank you. Oh, shit. Fuck me.
All boy energy.
Thanks, mate. I'll leave it here. Yeah, cheers. Sorry about it. Just pretend that didn't happen and let's kick on. So, what was I talking about? Gym, yeah. So, I'll tell you what, this guy quite big physically, and a lot of them are, but very weak. I don't know how that's worked out. It's with a lot of them, in fact. I'll tell you what hasn't made the youth weak, and that's dehydration. They fucking love water. They got water with them at all times. Same sort of blokes who can't even hold a schooner. They got water with them, 2 litres. Like their workstation's nowhere near a tap. Could be a young person here. I bet you got some water dangling from your weak knuckles right now. Some of my contemporaries can't get through 5 minutes of stand-up comedy without drinking water. And you people pay money to watch some artisan bard complete one of the basic prerequisites of remaining alive. Some modern soothsayer who can't even do a reverse park. He'll be standing on a stage, or sometimes sitting down, depending on how much philosophical content he's got in his show. Telling all of you how life works while taking a few sips out of his fucking bot. So on top of all this, right, this kid, he was a New Zealander, and I'll tell you what, it's not all goblins and Greenpeace over there, is it? Despite the worldwide reputation they've managed to conjure up out of thin mountain there's some fucking grubs coming out of that place. And I don't want to sink the boot in here either. One could have found its way in here. They can be sneaky. It's about every 4 or 5 years or so, I'll get admonished by a Kiwi for Australia's supposed superiority complex. And it's at these rare moments that I'll remember that New Zealand fucking exists. So this kid came up to me at work one day, right, and he had really stinky breath too. He smelled like a fart crawled into his mouth and did a shit. I thought I was going to chuck up. I didn't say anything, obviously, just in case that's a mental illness now. But he came up to me and he said, "Can we have a little chat?" I thought, "Oh, that's changed. That little chat, that's something bosses used to say to the workers, can we have a little chat?" And again, I've been sacked heaps throughout the course of my life. And if your boss says to you, "Can we have a little chat?" your answer should be, absolutely not. I've never come out the back end of a little chat employed. This kid said that to me. I immediately thought, why would one of my inferiors want to come and speak to me, his master, about anything at all? This makes absolutely no sense. This must be very, very serious. He's clearly been molested or something. But sometimes, as a natural leader, you do have to exhibit compassion toward people who are much, much weaker than you. Just like Jesus did with the lepers. So I thought, I'm going to have to counsel this feckless loser before I send him back to work. What do you want? He said, I was afraid to come and speak to you, actually, because you don't have any empathy. I said, bullshit, you reject. I've got empathy in spades, and I don't even know what it is. What do you want, fuckhead? And he told me he wanted, right, this is what he said, he wanted to take a personal day. I said, what the fuck is a personal day? Turns out a personal day is just a sad holiday. So what are you talking about? We're all sad, you sook. And some of us stand there whinging and some of us choose to do something about it, work on ourselves. This is what happened to me, right? I'll tell you a parable, son. Sit down. One time I was feeling a bit down in the dumps, so I got in my car and started flogging it. And I've ended up out on the outskirts of a small country town. It's where you get your best tourist attractions in Australia. And there was one of those rest areas I pulled up at with the barbecues with actual human faecal matter I'd baked onto the hot plate. And there was a path leading up to a tourist attraction. It was a wishing well. I thought, oh, tickety boo. I'm going to go up to that wishing well and sort this out right now. Just wish I was someone else and be done with it. Like I assume everyone does. Got up to that wishing well. Evidently, the few dozen or so sightseers who'd been there before me had wished that that well was a fucking toilet. And their wish came true and I'm still me. Either way, you can't just rebrand the sickie, dickhead, get back to work. But you can. You can rebrand anything now. You just say something else, and everyone has to respect you for that. Grown men who still read comic books, and they're ashamed of themselves, not quite enough to stop doing it. They try to tell me they're called graphic novels now. I'm not having that. Obesity's been rebranded as healthy. You can do anything. Slavery's been rebranded as an unpaid internship opportunity. Sky's the limit unless you're poor. Now, you can just make some up. Some of you might be old enough to remember when passive aggression was yet to be invented. I'm constantly being accused of being passive aggressive, and I say, no. What I'm being is correct and a little bit funny at the same time. So I'll tell you another integral part of my aggression-based midlife crisis. I've been getting into some spirituality, right? I've exhausted all the other classic cries for help for men my age. I've been, taking photographs of sunrises, ambushing my friends with them. Been repeating happiness mantras. At one stage I thought I might even renew my wedding vows, like those desperate fucking losers who didn't listen properly the first time. I thought, what, I'm in the market for a new faith. I'm going to update my faith system here. And, obviously, I didn't want to go for anything too ecclesiastical. I don't recall having such a good time when my parents subcontracted out my childhood beatings to some of God's more violent vessels. But by the same token, I didn't want to go for atheism. Ever since that's become its own sanctimonious fucking religion, those people are unbearable. So I thought I'd go for something a bit more modern there, the ones with the trinkets and the baggy trousers and the stringy hair and the deep hatred of deodorant. And there's nothing in my life to suggest I can't reinvigorate my soul by sitting around in a circle with my legs crossed all the livelong day, like I'm still in kindy, shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of visibly iron deficient Nigels, listening to some absolute bunkum. So after I got my head around the initial hocus pocus, I made some moves. I was moved up the ranks quite quickly thanks to some skullduggery and found myself in recruitment. I thought, if I play my cards right here, I might get myself a franchise. Stop working, start grifting like they all tend to do. One thing you can't do in these is stagnate. You've got to keep moving on, I thought it's about time I made my metaphorical journey into an actual one, because not a lot of Australian men find their true esoteric otherworldliness in their own suburb. You've got to go overseas, and well, that'll mean the Timor Sea. So I've ended up on this tantric mindfulness retreat package deal, and I've got to say, it got off to a fairly shaky start. They eat a lot of lentils. I sharted right through my caftan. But by lunchtime on the first day, I thought my guts had settled down to a point where I could, I'll still take it easy. I'll just stick to the 1 6-pack of bintang for lunch here and see how the afternoon progresses. I'll tell you what, the malnourished, enlightened, they're all namaste and om on the outside, aren't they? You try snoring your way through one of those contortion meditation sessions they have and see how live and let live these little fucking glass half fulls are. Whoa. I'm just glad Buddha's not around to see how uncharitable, not to mention skinny, his modern followers have become. Disgrace. But nevertheless, the happiness is the path or some shit, so I stuck around. I was in my pagoda that afternoon completing an advanced resilience module, and I couldn't concentrate. All I could hear was the incessant singing next door of some field workers who were harvesting the essential oils from a take-home show bag. And so, man, I didn't even know what they were singing about. So woe is me, third world problem shit, I assume. They hadn't bothered to learn English. It was gobbledygook. And I thought, these people have no respect for me over here. I'm trying to heal. My purple or salt and vinegar chakra is right out of alignment. And they don't care. at all. In the end, my newfound personal strength just snapped in half. I went schizo. Went next door and laid a few of them out. But I ended up letting one of them get away, which was a mistake. He dobbed on me and had to leave, and now I'm back here. I mean, that's the extent of respect we have for Southeast Asia, though. Not only do we send our raw materials and our plastic surgery enthusiasts and our pedophiles and stuff over there, now we send our lost soul wooden spooner lunatics over there. I think, yeah, when those finished products come back, they'll be ready to reinsert themselves into society and start contributing. Nah, they just come back wearing moo-moos and talking gibberish, and filling their houses up with bric-a-brac and stretching. That's all they can do. Who would have thought the most flexible Australians we have are the least fucking useful? So I'll tell you one thing we could use here is a war. And that's not, only for social purposes. I'm not a warmonger, not at all. In fact, I love world peace as much as those beauty pageant contestants, now known as businesswomen. If there were to be a war now, it would be terrible for the likes of me. That would work out appallingly for me. If war broke out in Australia, the conscription age would have to be 40 to 80. Everyone else is largely fucking useless. Unless the war effort requires some collage and mosaics and shit. So, I'll tell you one of the uglier byproducts of such a long-standing period of peace and prosperity, and that's been the rise of the stupid. That has been difficult to watch. And I don't mind the stupids, but, I'm not saying everyone shouldn't be proud of themselves. Pride's not just for gays and racists anymore. It's for everyone. But we didn't put any limits on just how proud the stupid could be of their stupidity. And they've taken a lot of liberties here. Idiots asked for stuff, we gave it to them, and now they're just depositing extra Y's and K's in their kids' names, and none of you seem alarmed. And I don't mind simpletons, not at all. They're fine. But ever since we rebranded keeping thicks on track as bullying, they think they're equal. We've done a lot for them. I wish they liked me. What a fucking market. But it hasn't worked out. We've really looked after them, though. I was in a restaurant, right, and this guy came in and said, can I get the beef satay sticks, please? But I don't eat meat and I'm allergic to peanuts. What are you going to do? And they looked after him. And I know allergies are more of a badge than a weakness, but he should have been hospitalised for that. I can't get around this, looking after people in restaurants at all. Just do the job. I've been going to restaurants a fair bit myself, right? Mainly because I want to sign up to apps and solve some puzzles before I'm allowed to eat. But if you've got a restaurant, you're calling people like me sir and asking me how my day is up until that point, you're hiding something. Usually shit food. Get better at your job, treat people however you want. That's why the world's best athletes can get around being debauched chair sniffers in their spare time, and we all think it's fine. My favourite restaurant, the service is appalling because the food's good. They're very much related, those two things. I went down there and said, can I get a table for one near the door, please? Because I might not want to pay at the end. And they sat me on a table that already had a family on it. And then they started yelling at me, moving to another table. And then I had a half-hour stare fight with a 115-year-old woman who was standing in the kitchen there. And then they slapped a bill down in front of me, well before I'd finished. And I looked at the bill and thought, I didn't get my dessert. Admittedly, dessert can turn up at any stage between ordering entree and getting in my car. I really wanted it. I turned around and asked the old woman about it, just as a deep-fried ice cream ball, one of science's genuine triumphs, arrived at my head at speed. That is categorically terrible service, but fucking yum. I'll probably go after this if anyone's keen. I'll tell you another thing in this realm I can't get around is when wait staff come and ask me how my meal's going halfway through. I find that quite menacing. Why asking me that? What'd you do with it? I've got brothers, right? And some of you people might have brothers, I don't know. How would I? If you go around to your brother's joint and he makes dinner and halfway through eating it he says, you enjoying that? No, you're eating snot minimum. So I'll tell you something we did with the stupids though, is we gave them all the internet, and that hasn't worked out, has it? And I get some of the abuse online that, we as a society used to reserve for suspected pedophiles and maybe successful female television presenters, but now it's being directed at me and it's terrifying. And they don't reciprocate my generosity of spirit with looking after them at all. It used to be, if you're an absolute dunce, you want to get something off your chest, you'd have to go and do some angry fishing. Just stand waist deep and mutter obscenities at the ocean. There's nothing wrong with that, I've done it, it's awesome. But now, you can just log on, start saying stuff. You can send a letter directly to the Spice Girls to let them know you've rejigged the order in which you'd like to boof them. And we all seem fine with that. I know a bloke, right, he's dumb as a fish. He's been proper slowpoke since birth, this guy, but because he's aged at the same time as the rise of sales and mining and .com fraud and all that other shit that requires no skill or talent to succeed, he's a success. In any other era, he'd be a rotten limb on the back of a packet of cigarettes. But as things currently stand, people look up to him. It's incredible. He's a dickhead. This guy, he owns a Zippo lighter and a mansion. How the fuck does that happen? I went round to his house, right? 3 of the 4 walls of his lounge room are covered in couch. He's living large, like Lord Muck. Carpet right through the joint like he's Elvis. And he thinks the richest known source of vitamin C is Fanta. Dead shit. And he doesn't read, this guy. And that's not a dyslexia thing, not at all. In fact, if any dyslexics here, follow dreams York. This is voluntary. Doesn't bother reading, and he's proud of that. I've got to say, not many people read anymore anyway. Most of you just wait until an author's so desperate that they'll narrate their own work. So you can whack on some headphones and get read to like the fucking babies you are. I've got to say, I don't read that much myself anymore. If anyone I live with suspects that I'm thinking about sitting down, much less opening a book, one of my names gets yelled and I've got to go and do shit for someone who's not me. I sometimes think of the childless with all that spare time, how much they could achieve, and yet they don't. When it comes to books though, I've always enjoyed the classics, but now anyone can write a book, and they fucking do. And the best books we've got in this country are written by athletes. They are proper wordsmiths, these blokes. Brilliant. Some of us adult men, we still have heroes. And when one of my sporting icons was cut down in his prime, forced to retire out of the game early through injury, one too many men had headbutted his right foot. I thought, that is a shame. When I finished crying, I thought, that is, all isn't lost though. Maybe I'll bump into this guy down at a sportsman's luncheon where he'll be doing some motivational name dropping at the same place I'm attempting stand-up comedy to a bunch of irredeemable fat bevins in race team jackets. And against the odds, they'll love him even more than they hate me. But on top of this, he's got all the hallmarks of an excellent author, this guy, and he's bound to put a book out that's be about his journey. And he did put a book out. I thought, I'm going to get that. That'll be full of all the highs, such as achieving everything you ever could in the first third of your life, and the lows, such as bashing an entire family down at a buffet restaurant, and then dragging a blackjack dealer across the casino floor by his nostrils, otherwise known in the business as just a great bloke doing it tough in his darkest hour. So I hot-footed it down to the epicentre of modern Australian literature, a large trestle table out the front of Big W. And I scooped up one of the remaining 6,000 or 7,000 copies of his ghost-written autobiography. So I can't wait to get stuck into this tome and really learn some stuff. So I drove home really quickly. I stopped 2 streets before mine, pulled over, put the windows up. It's the only way I can get some silence now, and started reading. What an absolute disappointment and shock it was for me to find out that this guy's opinions aren't quite up to date with my modern sensibilities. If I can't get my moral code from an actual battering ram, how am I supposed to know how to treat people in my life? Like, here's a deep down heart of gold larrikin I've always admired for having a tall mother and an abusive father. He spent his entire upright life just slamming his oversized head into other like-minded men's heads. And his skull's held together with blood clots. Probably 1 or 2 crow pecks away from an aneurysm. And yet he doesn't believe in the greenhouse effect, or whatever they're calling it these days. And he says H, and he thinks that Ukraine's a construction company. Idiot. There is a school of thought that we should just put these guys down when they turn 30, but... let's put them on TV and just consult these yellowy streaks on the gusset of society for their political opinions. See how we go. And I'm not saying everyone shouldn't get politicised, get into politics. Everybody should do that. I found myself getting heavily involved in modern politics myself. And by that I mean, I don't really know what politics is. I'm just saying some stuff. In fact, I've taken this even further and I've decided to become a political comedian because it's easier than actual comedy. Ever since I've become a political, satirical humorist, life has been much easier for me. All I had to do I've been trying to write jokes for over a decade, that's difficult. All I had to do all along was just repeat broadsheet headlines at volume, denouncing capitalism, maybe rip into the enemies of progress, hard-working family men, now known collectively as toxic, and then just manufacture some physical cues so you people are aware of when you need to start agreeing with me. And get to master the not-so-subtle art of being poignant and brave at the same time. I reckon I'll get there. Best part of being a political comedian rather than an actual comedian for me, though, is that I can just say stuff and I can institute change without any blood being spilt on the streets. Just say it and assume it happens later on. It's adorable. I've been getting heavily involved in social causes. I've been very vocal about these. The more popular, the better. And these social causes, they tend to reveal themselves with the same sort of frequency that I need to shift tickets for an upcoming tour. And I always like to get behind them and make sure everybody knows I'm behind them. But I was at a bit of a loss not that long ago because when Me Too finished, right, I didn't have one. And I had just put an album out and I had no way for people to know that I'm a good bloke and they should get around me. But fortuitously, I was down at Woolies, right, getting some bickies, and I was at that automatic cashier, and thankfully I've nearly gotten rid of all those disgusting fucking employees we used to have. A few of them still hanging on by a thread, but if we remain vigilant, they'll be gone by Christmas. But I was down there, right, and there's an option on the screen for me to round my packet of Monte Carlos up from $2.85 to $3, and I took it. So I think you'll find I'm very much anti-war. But even I thought there is a small chance that my 15 cents won't stop the war, wherever it is. So I'm going to have to go over and above and bring you people with me into the future and do more than my fair share as usual. So I went and bought a yellow and blue flag and put that up in my front window so everybody knew. And I've got to say, I'm yet to receive one message of gratitude from a single Ukrainian telling me that they appreciate my efforts. Manners cost nothing, comrades. As it turned out, my flag was Swedish in the end. So pretty good time to just blame your behaviour on your politics, though. I've been getting around that. It's an awesome thing to be doing. I was out running some errands, right, to celebrate nearly finishing some menial tasks. I thought I'm going to reward myself for achieving fuck all here, like modern people do. I'm going to get a treat. So I wanted to get something from one of those deep-frying, cash-only tax dodger businesses we still have, but I didn't have any cash, so I had to go to the automatic teller machine, get some cash out. And then I went back and I purchased myself a piping hot cup of potato gems, and I was really enjoying them, walking along eating those on the footpath there. But then there was a family walking towards me in that configuration of man, woman and a toddler in between, doing that annoying swing between the arms bullshit that they do, taking up the entire footpath. I thought, man, this is about to get political. So I did the only thing I could do. I've tossed what was left of my Irish caviar in the dad's face. And then I booted the kid. And the woman said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, seeing as you saw the whole thing unfold right before your eyes, I find your question to be a bit passive-aggressive, lady. I'm just exercising my politics." Ever since growing adults, I've been watching superhero films with no outward signs of shame or embarrassment. There's only right and wrong now. There's only two sides to anything. And funnily enough, opinion's the only thing striving to be binary at the moment. I tell you what, you're going to balk at that. Spare a thought for me. I know what's coming up. I can trim friends off who disagree with me on one thing. It's unreal. It's good for that. But you've got to pick one side to be on. They're both equally fucking annoying. Difficult time to be a moderate, got to tell you that. People are just saying stuff. I got called a Nazi for going fishing on the same day I got called a poofter for ordering a salad. No one knows anything. There are some legitimate deals being made, though, between the two modern sides. The new left, they're yelling over the top, you know what, you thugs, you can keep pit bull dogs and muscles and fast cars and barbecue. We're scared of all that stuff anyway. In return, we're taking the mullet and above-the-shoulder tattoos. What's happened there? What's happened with the mullet? The mullet, that used to be a haircut your Queensland cousin would give you with a machete. Now, I saw a teetotaling virgin paying for one in a shopping centre. If the forefathers of the mullet could see the level of weighted blanket crybaby getting around, appropriating their haircut, they'd be rolling in their shallow early graves. I mean, there was a time too when if you walked into a tattoo parlour and demanded some ink above the shoulder, they wouldn't even ask you what you wanted. They'd just whack a swastika somewhere on your head. And we could all get some rest. Now you can do anything. I saw a guy and on his face, instead of a teardrop, he had a musical note. Imagine going into a servo to do a stick-up and the attendant just bursts out laughing because you've got Carpe Diem written in butterflies and penny farthings on your fucking head. I'm embarrassed to be alive sometimes. A lot of these men just want to leave a mark somewhere. They start on themselves and just work out from there and see what happens. A lot of men want to leave a mark on Earth. Some men I know want to be remembered when they're dead. That's a crazy one. Like here, I don't want to tell you people how to suck eggs here, but one thing you can't do if you want to be remembered forever is be a victim, even though it's incredibly popular at the moment. In fact, you ask a child now what they want to be when they grow up, they'll probably say victim. You want to leave some sort of long-lasting legacy, you're going to have to be a perpetrator. Yeah. They're the only ones. We don't even remember their victims, even though they are the unsung heroes of excellent television. Some men, though, they don't want to stump up and start killing. They just want to be remembered for being good blokes. That never works out. You've got to do the work. No one cares. Men think, oh yeah, one day I'll be a ghost on a rainbow looking down thinking, yeah, I did great work down there on Earth. I was body corporate president for so long. I must have stopped over 1,000 kids from playing cricket on that driveway. And now look at me, I'm a plaque on a park bench. No one cares. Some men keep procreating until they've got a boy to carry on the family name. That's one of the saddest ones. I know a guy and he's got 5 daughters and 1 son in that order. And he's got the neck to get around at barbecues trying to tell the likes of me he loves them all in equal measure. Like a duplicitous fucking liar. Some blokes want to leave prophetic last words before they leave Earth. I know one who was like this. He said, mate, my last words are going to be amazing. They'll be carved into a stone, printed up and put out on the internet. It's going to be incredible. I thought, yeah, I can't wait to get some bite-sized philosophy here when he dies. And I was there for his last words. And his last words ended up being, can you smell toast? I've been lucky enough to be present for a bunch of people's last words, right? And I don't know what they were planning, but every single time it was, look, if you put that down, I'll give you everything. So, I'll tell you one thing I'm definitely not here for, and that's ripping into victimhood, TM. It's a good time to be. One thing I've been getting into, right, myself, is mental illness, because I didn't want to be left behind. And when I found out that one of my peers had caught that one where you can't really concentrate on anything unless it's fun. That is debilitating. It's been proven that there is no cure. Besides, literally, there's nothing we can do about it. Just got to live with their beautiful brains. But when I heard that, I thought, attention spans are gone anyway. Who cares? Well, you people have forgotten what I said a minute ago. No one gives a shit. Ever since we started calling coleslaw slaw, this place has gone to pot. Can't even finish a word. No one listens to a full album anymore. Everything's a snippet. Much less will anyone ever go on a decades-long killing spree for my entertainment. I think we've got to face facts. The golden age of serial killing, that is over. Fun while it lasted, but it's finished. The youth, they're still killing each other. Don't worry about that. They haven't really got the work ethic or the attention to detail to get the job done. It really shows up in the quality of their output. So when it comes to mental illness, right, but back when mental illness was more of a disease than an industry, we didn't really know what was going on. It hasn't been around that long. I remember when autism came out, right, none of us knew about it at all. My dad came home one day and said, oh, there's a couple of families coming over tomorrow for networking lunch. One of them's bringing kids, and one of the kids is autistic. And I said, what's that? He said, I don't know, but give me a hand to move the furniture out to the walls just in case. Nobody knew. We know now, and good riddance to bad smells in terms of ignorance. Now we know an awful lot about it. And we talk about it now, all the time, evidently. In fact, spreading awareness, that's not only the favourite hobby, but the major symptom of being a sufferer. If you're not an ambassador, you might not be suffering to your full potential. When something's got as much momentum as Mental Health Proprietary Limited, it's going to have some passengers. Tell you what, since I've been involved in this stand-up racket, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know if you know anything about stand-up comedians, but there is something quite wrong with every single one of them except me. Fucking crazy. Tell you what I did, right? I went to a freak show. You can still find them. And there was the usual sort of stuff there. There was a bearded lady. There was an elephant man. He's just the ugliest bloke from the nearby pub. That was a disappointment. A few other nostalgic bits and pieces. A bit of dwarf throwing. There's a guy using fish hooks and chains to hang some bricks off his five skin. That was revolting. Not my cup of tea at all, but I do like to support all the arts. When I got back though and told my colleagues that I'd been for a therapeutic laugh at some freaks of nature, they were thoroughly disgusted, as I can tell some of you people are. But then there all you are, going to stand-up comedy and demanding a parade of mentors just empty their skulls out onto a stage for your entertainment. You should be ashamed of yourselves. It is a difficult one to talk about though, because of its intangible nature. It's not like your more traditional ailments, such as a broken arm or an AIDS lesion. You can't really tell what's going on. And I spent my whole life judging people based purely on appearances. It's worked out very, very well for me, but it's getting harder to do. They're not all getting around with pink hair and fingerless gloves anymore. Shadow boxing down at the traffic lights. Some of them look like us now. One of the ones I've been getting involved in is mensmentalhealth.com because it's a hot button issue. I thought I'll get involved in that and see if there's something in it for me, because when men lose their minds, they are capable of some serious carnage. So I've got to make sure the men are all right. We talk about this a bit. We say men, they need to talk some more. Men don't talk enough. And I think, yeah, that is true and everything. But then I also know some women with some long-standing mental health issues. So there is a small chance that talking might not be the cure. I thought that'd be a bit much. Thanks for getting on board. So I went down to this men's mental health group, right? See if get out and see if there's something in it. And they'd make you sign up for heaps of sessions. So I thought it'd be like burning off a ward. Just one, go down once, see you later, finish. Got to keep going. There's nothing in it for them to cure a paying customer too quickly. It's like rehab. I know a bloke who went to rehab 11 times. Almost as if that booming cash cow doesn't fucking work. But after the 11th time, it stuck and he stopped drinking. And if what he starts every single conversation with now is correct, he's very, very, very happy with his decision. In fact, he told me himself he hasn't even thought about having a drink for 4 years, 3 months, 2 weeks and 5 days. So I was down to this men's whinging group, right? And very first time there, it devolved really quickly from these are my problems to my wife's a bigger bitch than your wife. It's amazing. Most of them on that short, slippery slide from, no, you hang up, to shut the fuck up when you sneeze, will you? One bloke, his wife was going down to paint and sip every Friday night just to add an artistic element to her alcoholism. Immortalise on canvas how much she hated him and bring that home. I had a great time. I ended up getting kicked out for laughing. That's how good that was. But not before saying, hey guys, your wives, they sound like a bunch of absolute moo cows. Imagine the level of fuckwit who married them. It is a good time though, just to get around blaming other people for your stuff. This concept has found its way into the blue collar world too. Good one. I walked in the lunchroom at work and there's one guy sitting in there, really big one, and he was clearly responsible for the disgusting stench that permeated the whole joint. And he saw the look on my face. He said, "Oh, that? No, that's the cabbage and the bean salad the missus served up last night." So what was it? I beg your pardon. I thought it was that was your rancid ring piece for a second there. Turns out it was her. Oh, wait till I see that woman. I'll be having a stern word with her. She's just single-handedly ruined big lunch for all of us. I thought we managed to peak when we blamed women for prostitution, but it turns out we can pin our farts on them while they're not even there. What a time to be alive. And there is still a bit of niggle between the sexes, and I'm not into that at all. Obviously, we're all equal. I'm not a dickhead. But you know what hasn't helped with this, right? And I was part of this. When I was a kid, I went to all boys schools, and you get spat out of that not knowing what's going on. And we're still doing that. We're still separating the two most popular genders into schools. And then we bring them back together after 12 years and think, yeah, that'll be all right. It's not. I don't know. A lot of us work through that, though. It engenders a lot of mistrust, but a lot of us work through that. I myself don't have any problems with trust or anything anymore. It's fine. We still do this sometimes as adults. Sometimes I go to barbecues and there's no mixing. It's like South Africa. And you walk in there and all the men will be outside preparing the meat and the women will be inside preparing devious fucking lies to spread about their husbands. So I'll tell you one thing you can be now, and that's a victim and a perpetrator at the same time. All you've got to do to pivot is do the work. Be prepared to do that. Maybe start using the word shame as a verb and have absolutely fucking none of it. You can do anything. I met a pervert, right, and without me even prompting, he started talking me through what he gets up to. It was reprehensible. And he saw the look on my face. He said, "No, don't yuck my yum." Beg your pardon, sorry, I didn't mean to be a fascist. Sorry about that. Maybe I'll just kick my shoes off right here so you can have it off with my feet. There was a prowler in our neighbourhood, right. When I heard that, I thought, it's nice to know not everything's gone online. Well, I managed to see this peeping Tom one night. Late one night, I was outside in my backyard burying a couple of hard drives. And I've looked out over the other backyards there, and there he was, on his tippy toes, trying to cop a purr through a bathroom window. I thought, I've got to be careful here. Like, ever since actual facts became debatable and history's been written by the losers, I don't know what's going on. He could be an even bigger victim than his actual victims. It is 2000-something. But in the end, I've got to say, I'm not proud, but I did become part of the problem. I ended up kink-shaming him in the back of the head with my fucking shovel. It's been a bit violent, hasn't it? I feel like I've got to bring this back. It has been a bit violent. So it's nice of you people to come out on whatever night this is and support stand-up comedy, the most reviled and disrespected of all the arts. You could have been doing anything. You could be at home popping on a Blu-ray. You could have saved up double to go and watch a television personality potentially ask you for your name and occupation while on stage. Just park your insignificance for a night before getting back to ticking off the days till you die. But you didn't. You're here, and I appreciate that. It's really cool. Thanks very much. Before I forget, I'm going to be out in the foyer there for about a minute after the show, just doling out head nods and eyebrow raises as you file out. On top of that, I've got merch, right? And I'll tell you what, if you want to get merchandise, you should do what I did. I rang up China and said, look, I'm in the market for some 10-inch carpenter pencils. I want my logo on them, a picture of my stupid little dog, and a little place of my signature on them. Can you help me? And the guy I rang said, man, what are you talking about? I'm a rice farmer. Of course I can. Now I'm the owner-operator of about 2,900 carpenter pencils. So if you want to take some of them off the hands, I'd appreciate it. It's a few kilometres of fucking pencil in my house that aren't popular. And I'm selling them 3 for a tenner. While gentlemen prefer cash, I have got FTOS for the moderns. So anyway, I have been trying to get a bit of cash recently, right? I don't really like this stuff. It's not for me. Rich people are grubs, aren't they? Well, there are none here. They don't really like laughing. Although, having said that, since the working classes have shopped around and inexplicably settled on conservatism as their way of life, fucking hard to make those bastards laugh too. But either way, I mean, I thought I'll get a bit of money here. You know, we talk about how the classes mix really well in Australia. Not from the evidence I've gathered, not at all. I've only recently managed to stop working on building sites, right? But I like to keep some very strong links with the working classes. From a distance, though, because they're fucking disgusting. Not that long ago, I was sitting in the gutter, literally in the gutter, putting my boots on outside some fucking homeowner's house. And he's walked down in a crisp linen suit trying to be one of the boys. He said, oh yeah, I'm just like you guys. I guess you could call me a merchant banker by trade. Fniff, sniff, 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 sniff. Yeah, I guess I could, but I won't, because white-collar crime's not a trade, is it, dickhead? You don't get to have all the money and be one of the lads. So if you don't mind, get the fuck off your property. So I can read a tabloid and destroy your toilet in peace. Worse still, it's because everyone's home now all the time. They come and tell people like me how to act and what to say while I'm at work. You get some grots on your house doing a reno, you take your chances. People come in to me and say things like, oh, can you boys keep the noise and the language down a bit, please? No. I'm installing a study nook in your parents' retreat, dickhead. Maybe I'll call my malfunctioning power tools whatever the fuck I want. So I have been trying to exude success though, with varying degrees of it. Sometimes I'll just hang up the phone after a conversation without saying goodbye, like I'm a detective or a billionaire. Everyone just thinks I'm rude. I did think though, I'm going to get some... I did the only thing I have left at my disposal. I went and bought some crypto. And the humbug I bought it from said, oh, you know what, mate, you should get this one. This one is low risk, high return. I said, oh, yes, please. That sounds right up my alley. I'll have all of that, thanks very much. And a few days later, without any explanation or warning, my imaginary coins just disappeared. Turns out, with the glaring exception of a shower fart, there's no such thing as low risk, high return. I did think though that my peers don't respect me at all. So I need some status. I'm going to get some sort of talisman to wear around so people think I'm better than I am. So I was in the market for a wristwatch, just in case the telephone I leave in my pocket on a permanent basis stops telling the time. I'm going to have to get a watch. So I went down to this watch dealership. It was beautiful. They had like Rolex and Bulgari and stuff there. And there was this toothy showboating salesman standing there, and he was wearing a V-neck and white jeans. I thought, oh, clearly pride's no longer a sin. Very pleased with himself, he was. I wished I was half as happy as his school bully. And he was heavily muscled too, this guy, and that's where we've arrived as a society. Men who don't need muscles, they've all got them. I met a real estate agent who's got muscles. When I saw that, I thought, it looks like, clipboards are much fucking heavier than they used to be. So this high fade haircut said to me, oh, have you got an appointment? I said, well, obviously not. I'm not getting a root canal. I'm just buying a watch. Just sell me a watch, you bath plug. Sell me one of those ones that's the size of a tin of tuna. My kids will be sharing for dinner for some time as a direct result of this transaction. I said, yeah, you're in luck, actually. We've just got a new batch in. You should get this one. This one is top of the range. This one is waterproof to 26,000 metres. So, yes, please. That sounds unreal. I better get that one then, because last time I was standing around on a tectonic plate. This guy came up to me and asked me for the time. Embarrassing. So, look, sorry, man, my watch exploded a few thousand metres up. I have, though, managed to catch a glimpse of what the aristocracy get up to. I checked into a hotel, right? That's not my bag of chips. I'm more of a motel man. And I walked into my hotel room. First thing I saw, there was a turd on the floor. I thought, that is a bit much. So I went downstairs and said, look, I don't want to be that guy, but we've all got our limits. And mine happens to be a Grogan on the carpet. So they've upgraded me to a better room. I thought, oh, this is a tremendous opportunity for me to see what high society get up to in the deluxe suite. So I walked into the deluxe suite, right? First thing I saw was in between the bedroom and the bathroom was a big window, full-size window there. I thought, oh, is that what the upper crust are doing in their spare time? I can't speak for all of you, obviously, but some mornings I wake up at my house and think, I've got to get in that bathroom immediately. I've got a bear's nose. And I'll be sitting on the toot curling one off, thinking, oh, there's a big piece of this puzzle missing. I know what it is. It's direct eye contact with my wife. Yeah. Why should I be the only one who gets to see the veins on my temples pop? So, I'm going to get out of here. You people got lives to live. I'll tell you one more thing before I go. I've been trying to teach my children about the value of money. That's hard work. Ever since we gave children everything for doing nothing, they don't really want to do much. My kids have never had anything, so they've got to do stuff. So when they came and announced they were setting up a lemonade stand in the corner of our street, I thought, oh, hot diggity. These kids are going to figure out how difficult life is this afternoon. My parenting duties will be over by sundown. Sucked in, you little bastards. I said, you're going to make it fresh in front of everyone and you make it 50 cents a cup. That's what's fair. And they said, yeah, OK. They went outside and started working. But everyone was very nostalgic for an era where children were still doing stuff. They weren't just sitting inside watching telly and working on their diabetes. People were jazzed. They were walking past and, what? It's an actual child outside. I can't believe it. He said, oh, you know what? Here's $1. Keep the change. Here's $2. I don't even want a cup. I was watching all this unfold through a gap in the blinds, thinking, man, this is turning bad already. At one stage, a squad car full of the filth rolled up. I thought, oh, that's just great. It's a shakedown. The pigs want a cut of the action. Well, they didn't. They just want a cup of lemonade each, so lovely. And then this rich car pulled up, and the guy wound down his window and beckoned my son over and gave him $50 for a cup of lemonade, which, looking back, that is as sus as a swim coach. But then they rocked back into the house about an hour after they started, very proud of themselves. They said, oh, we're unreal, we're awesome. We've already made over $100. I thought, oh, bullshit. These kids have learned nothing about the value of money here. So I sent them back outside to man the stand, and I went around the block and I put my balaclava on, robbed them at knife point. And I got to go. Thanks very much for having me tonight.